Hello everyone, this is Kapil Zado and welcome to the webinar of Oracle DataGuard. So we'll see in the end Oracle 12c DataGuard changes. So let me start with the first slide. The agenda of this webinar includes introduction to high availability services, DataGuard concepts, DataGuard implementation, and DataGuard scenarios. And in the end, we'll talk about Oracle 12c changes for the DataGuard. Sorry. Let me start with introduction to high availability. Availability is the degree to which an application or server is accessible on demand. It is measured by the perception of an application's end user. And there are a number of characteristics of high availability. For example, reliability of data, recoverability of data, timely error detection, and continuous operation. As we all know, production databases, they run 24/7/365. So the data which is present on the database, it must be reliable, recoverable, and timely errors should be solved on the production databases. And there should not be any kind of disturbance when the database productions they are running. Okay, so they must always run continuously. So why DataGuard? If you will see many big companies, big multinationals, big banks in the India and abroad, they are using DataGuard. Even in the India, Reserve Bank of India, they have made rule that every production which is running in the banking environment, they must have DataGuard configured. They must have N+1 data guards. For example, if you are having a data center of a bank present in Pune, then you must have your data guards configured elsewhere from the main site. So let me tell you, data center is a centralized place where all servers are kept, means it's a production server, and to this production server all your clients, or for example if it is a banking production, will be having number of branches connected to this central place which is data center. And a DataGuard means a DR server, a disaster recovery site. It should be away from a data center. For example, you'll be having DR site in Mumbai and your production data center is present in Pune. Okay, so DataGuard means DR site will be configured elsewhere from the main site. Okay, now what is the main use of DataGuard? So if you are having unplanned outages, so they can be minimized using DataGuard, means errors will not occur if you are having unplanned outages. For example, if you are having site failure, for example, let me give you a wonderful example. You are having a company who is having production server, and all your clients data is present on that production server. Okay, and if in case if your entire site is down, your backups will be present on the main site only, and you are not having backups elsewhere outside the main site. At that time you will be having a tremendous loss if you are not having DR site configured. Okay, for example, other unplanned outages like computer failure, storage failure. For example, let me give you a wonderful example of famous IBM storage S477, which is containing all your critical data. And in case if you lost a few of the hard disk, those are present on that storage, at that time you'll be having tremendous loss of data. Or there could be other reasons like data corruption. For example, one of your hard disk data, it has corrupted, and in that case you could have a outage, or your production site will be down. Or there could be any kind of human error. Or next one is hang or slow down. If your production is not working properly, it is getting hang, or there are very slow operations or slow down. So at that time there could occur a outage of production or main site. Okay, the next type is planned outages. For example, you are having any system or database level change, so at that time you can use the planned outage, or there is a change in the data, so that can be managed properly with the help of DataGuard. Any application change, for example, you attach one more application new to production database, so at that time you can use a DR site in that case, and you can make that DR site production, and that can be used as a production. Okay, next slide. Are you able to view this window, guys? Okay, I'll make it full screen. Okay. ठीक है. Mr. Aman, you are right. DataGuard in full-fledged, it can work in Oracle's Enterprise Edition. Okay, so that is what I think you want to say. EE means Enterprise Edition, and in Standard Edition you can configure DataGuard, but you need to use shell scripts to pull data from primary site. And regarding hang on or slow down, that computer failure, it means we are talking about the main production server failure. We are not talking about the normal machines, because here computer failure means the production failure. We are talking about entire production. Mr. Aman, I think I am clear. Okay, Aman, it's fine. Okay, guys, I think we'll go to next slide. I think everyone is able to see the screen. DataGuard, it helps you to protect your data. And the next point is it takes your data and automatically puts it elsewhere and make it available for failure in case of failure. Okay, so in the DataGuard configuration, you'll be having two sites. One will be primary site and second will be the standby site or the secondary site. Okay, so primary site will be your main site where your all data is present, and a standby site is a site which will contain exactly same data which is present on the production site. Okay, and primary site is also called as the production site, which is gonna run 24/7 by 365, and all your current transactions, DML and DDL operations, especially DML means insert, update, delete, and DDL means create, alter, drop. They are gonna work on the production site, and DR site is the DataGuard site, where you'll be having your DataGuard configured in read-only mode. So only select statements can be configured on a DR site. Okay. Next one is the apply process also revalidates the logs records to prevent application or of any log corruptions. Okay, so logs are automatically transferred from primary site to DR site, and we'll see in the next slide how these logs are transferred to DR site. Okay, then the DataGuard site, it must be geographically dispersed sites, means your primary site and DR site must be at different locations. Okay, DataGuard is useful for logical data corruptions and if lag behind used. Okay, there are various protection levels, those are present in the DataGuard. For example, maximum protection, maximum ability, then maximum performance. Basically, DataGuard works by default in the maximum performance mode, whether it is Oracle 10G, whether it is Oracle 11G, or whether it is Oracle 12C. Okay, then the reporting and backups can be diverted to standby, means you can take backups of a standby database, and the main reporting, it is done using the DR site only. For example, you are having a production site of a bank, and all your branches are connected to production site. Production site, for example, is present in Pune, and your DR site is in Mumbai. Okay, and production site means all branches are connected to production site. It means all transactions, whether someone is crediting, someone is debiting from his accounts, so all these DML, DDL things, they are going to happen on production site. So reports, those are generated in the banks. For example, if it is the 31st last day of banking operation, on that day bank is going to generate a number of reports. For example, minimum balance report, gold loan report, vehicle loan reports. So all these reports, they are always generated from DR sites, because there only one statement it is going to run, and that statement is select statement only. Okay, so basic use of standby databases is to generate reports. Okay, and as you know, the production and standby, they are always in sync with each other, means production and standby, they are going to contain exactly same data. They are the mirror images of each other. So you can take backups of standby databases using other utilities like RMAN, data pump. So with the help of that, you can take backups at the standby databases. Okay, and in case if you are having any kind of a failure, so that failure can be managed with the help of standby database. And there is a one utility, or we can say a parameter, which is called as resync parameter. Later on we'll see use of resync parameter, because here is the automatic resync from for failed primary or the standby, primary database. Okay, so that automatic resync is done. Let me give you one example. For example, there is a 1 Mbps pipe connectivity between production and standby, and if in case that connectivity is lost, for example, it's a connectivity provided by BSNL or Tata, and if in case that connectivity is lost due to any failure, and in that case, so data transfer from primary database to standby database will be lost. In that case, if again that connectivity is restored, that automatic resync will transfer data from primary site to standby site. Okay, then even you can do a switch over for maintenance, means you can make primary site to standby, and you can make standby site to primary. So it is possible, and those activities can be done on the weekends, or where there is a no load on production and not even single user is connected to production database. At that time, this is called as a planned activity or switch over activity. So that switchover can be done for maintenance. Okay, now there are two types of data guards. One is the normal data guard, which is called as physical standby, and second one is logical standby. Okay, so there are two types of data guards. Those can be configured in Oracle 10G, Oracle 11G, as well as in Oracle 12C. Okay, now what is standby data guard? Okay, a copy of production database that you can use for disaster protection. Okay, you can update the standby database with redo logs from production database in order to keep it current. So there is a continuous transmission of data from primary site to standby site, and both are always in sync with each other. And if in case any disaster occurs, for example any natural calamity it occurs, for example there is an earthquake, flooding, riots, and your production site is down, then you can connect all your for example it's a banking production, then you can connect all your branches to a DR site, and that DR site will become your production site, and you will start working your operations. So there will not be any kind of loss of data. So there so that can be managed with the help of DataGuard. So there are you can have two types of standby databases. One is the physical standby database, and second one is logical standby database. So the physical standby database, their data is transferred in the form of redo. Redo means change the data. And there are few commands like DML, DDL commands. So those commands can create change of data. For example, you are inserting, you are updating, you are deleting. Okay, so you are merging data, or you are creating any new structure, you are altering the existing structure of table, or you are dropping the structure. So at that time redo data will be generated. So that is called as a redo. And in the normal physical standby, you are going to transfer data from primary site to DR site using redo transmission, which is the default transmission. And there is one more concept called as a logical standby database, and that logical standby database uses one special concept which is called as SQL apply or SQL injections. Okay, so SQL statements, they are applied if you are using logical standby database. And logical standby database is a new concept provided from Oracle now 9i onwards, and it is really very useful to be configured. Okay, so you can have multiple standby databases configured with the main production site. In Oracle 10G, you can configure around 10 standby databases. In Oracle 11G, you can configure around 30 standby databases apart from the main production site. And in Oracle 12C, you can configure 30 standby databases apart from the main site. So that many standby databases you can create. Okay, now the main DataGuard concepts. Oracle DataGuard provides the management, monitoring, and automation software to create and maintain one or more standby databases to protect Oracle data from failures, disasters, human errors, and data corruptions. Okay, so that feasibility is provided by DataGuard. And DataGuard configuration consisting of one production and one or more standby databases. Okay, so the database in a DataGuard configuration may be dispersed geographically. Okay, so it is mandatory that you must have a DataGuard site elsewhere from the main site. Okay, as I said earlier, in Oracle 10G you can configure 10 standby databases, and in Oracle 11G and 12C you can have 30 standby databases configured with the main production site. Okay, let me tell you one thing. It's a rule of Reserve Bank of India. If you are having a bank, I had worked in a banking environment for I'm working since last 2 years in the banking environment as an Oracle DBA. So it's a rule of Reserve Bank of India that you must have at least minimum 2 DR sites configured from the apart from main production site. So one is always called as a MIS server or near DR. As you will be knowing, a long form of MIS is Management Information System. So near DR is always used to generate reports, and it is always present in the environment of a data center, and far DR will be outside the premises of a data center. So DR must be configured apart from the main production site. Okay, managing primary and standby databases can be done using SQL command line interfaces. Even there is one more utility which is called as a DataGuard broker interface. So even you can use a DGMGRL is the command. With the help of that you can even configure, you can manage DataGuard. Okay, now you can see the architecture of DataGuard here. There is a you can see there is a one site which is primary database server, as the name indicates, primary. Then there is a one more site which is called as a physical standby server. You can see the upper window. There is a physical standby server which is the normal standby database, and they are connected with the network. You can see the red arrow which is pointing towards physical standby server and the logical standby server. Okay, so all they are connected with, for example, 1 Mbps pipe or 2 Mbps pipe. Okay, and the data transmission, it is done using the background processes like ARCH and LGWR. So here are the two types of DRs. Those can be configured. One is logical standby, second one is physical standby. So here in the physical standby, normal redo apply is done. Normal redo apply is done, as I have said in the earlier slide, means normal redo transmission is done in the physical standby, and in the logical standby server you are going to transfer data using SQL statements. Okay, so this is the main difference between the normal physical standby database and the logical standby database. Even it is possible that you can configure in one environment, you are having one primary site, then you are having physical standby server, and you are having a logical standby server configured in only one environment. It is possible. Then you can see there it is shown report access, means reports they are generated from DR sites. As I have said earlier, reports they are always generated from standby databases only, because it is not feasible and it is not good to generate reports from main production sites where continuously changes are happening. Means, for example, it is a OLTP kind of database. OLTP means online transaction processing, where continuously data changes are happening. In that case, you should not generate a report on a primary database server. If you want to generate report, that activity can be done in the night when there will not be any kind of load or transactions those are happening on the main production site. Next one is types of standby databases. Physical standby database or a logical standby database. Let me read a few things about physical standby database. A physical standby database provides a physical identical copy of the primary database with on-disk database structure that are identical to the primary database on block for block basis. Okay, so this is the most important point about the normal standby database and the main production site. For example, you have configured two things. One is the primary site and second one is physical standby database. So you are having only one standby database and one production site. So the data which is copied from production database to standby database will be copied block for block basis. Means block by block data will be copied to DR site. So this is the most important point for a normal standby database. Okay, the database schemas including indexes, they are copied to standby database, and the transmission, it happens with the help of redo data or the changed data. The redo apply technology applies redo data on the physical standby database using media recovery techniques. So there are few background processes. So one famous background process which is still present in Oracle 12c is MRP process, whose long form is media recovery process. So with the help of this media recovery process, data which is transferred to DR site is applied to standby database. Then the next one is a logical standby database. It contains the same logical information as that of the production database. Although the physical organization and structure of data will be different. So this is the difference with the physical standby database, with the logical standby database. The organization and the structure of data will be different. Okay, and the logical standby database does not have too much the schema structure of the source database. Okay, and it is synchronized with the SQL statements. So here the data is transferred in the form of SQL statements. Guys, we'll have a question answer session when I'll finish with the all slides. Next slide. Benefits of a standby database or benefits of DR. You can have switchover and failover. Next point is reduce the amount of queries performed on the primary database. Means in case you are having DR site, you can generate reports, you can fire select queries on the DR site, you can fetch data as DR site is containing exactly same data, exactly same copy as that of production site. And there can be it can be used to upgrade Oracle database software and patch sets without almost no downtime. So it is called as rolling upgrades or rolling patches. They can be applied to standby database without without any kind of downtime. Okay. Now guys, you can see the diagram of Oracle DataGuard. So let me explain this diagram. So as you see at the left side there is a primary site, and at the right side there is a DR site. So you can see one line separating these two areas. One is primary site and second one is the DR site. Okay, so production site is at the left side, which is called as primary database, and the DR site is at the right side, which is standby database. As you can see, there is a one arrow pointing that standby database is used to generate reports. Okay, now we'll see the transmission of data from production site to a DR site, how it will be done. So obviously there is a one most important utility. That utility is the listener utility. So this listener utility is it plays a big role in DataGuard configuration. So you need to configure the connection strings of primary and standby databases properly. So here you can see Oracle Net, it is stating that it is the connection string usage or the listener usage. Okay, so there are two types of transfer of data. One is synchronous transfer and second one is asynchronous transfer. Okay, so by default Oracle it runs on asynchronous transfer of data mode. Okay, so by default Oracle runs on the principle of asynchronous transfer of data. And let me tell you, for example, first we'll see about asynchronous transfer of data. As I had said earlier, Oracle DataGuard, it works on the three protection modes. So first one is maximum performance, and second one is maximum ability, and third one is maximum protection. Okay, so asynchronous transfer of data is possible for maximum performance mode only, and synchronous transfer of data is possible for maximum protection and maximum ability. So let's talk about maximum performance, which is the default mode for Oracle DataGuard. Okay, now for example, your production site and your DR site, they are configured for asynchronous transfer of data. Okay, it means your DataGuard will be in maximum performance mode. Okay, so all these changes, those are happening on the production database. All the changes, those are happening on the production database. They will be first collected inside the redo log buffer. So there is one process whose name is LGWR process. He's gonna notice that these records, they have come to the main site, and it is gonna give signal to one process whose name is LNS process. LNS process is not shown in this diagram. LNS process is a log network service process, and this process will transfer data from redo log buffer to RFS process, which is present on the DR site. Okay, so data transferred from primary site will be collected at DR site by RFS process. Its long form is remote file server process. Okay, so let me repeat once again. The changed data which is present on the production database will be present inside redo log buffer, and from a redo log buffer, that data, it has come inside redo log buffer, will be noticed by LGWR process. LGWR process will give signal to LNS process, which is present at the primary site, and LNS process, with the help of Oracle Net, so LNS process, which is present at the primary site, will send data to RFS process, which is present at standby site, and RFS process is gonna receive that data, and after receiving, RFS process puts that data in standby redo log groups. Okay, so there are special redo log groups, those needs to be created, and they are called as standby redo log groups, and they are quite different from the normal redo log groups. If you are having two redo log groups at the primary site, you are gonna create n+1 redo log groups. Those are called as standby redo log groups at the DR site. Okay, so DataGuard, it uses special redo log groups. Those are called as standby redo log groups. Okay, and these data which has come from primary site, which is present inside standby redo log group, will be applied by MRP process. Its long form is media recovery process to standby database. So continuously this process is gonna happen. So there is one more process which is called as LSP process. So this LSP process, logical standby process, is used if you have configured logical data guard. So LSP process copies data from standby redo log and it applies to standby database if you have configured logical data guard. And if it is a normal standby database, then in that case MRP process will come in picture. Let me repeat, MRP process is for normal standby database and LSP process is for logical standby database. So MRP and LSP process, their job is that the data which is been put inside standby redo log, so that data will be applied to standby databases. Okay, so you can see there there is a one process which is called as which is called as fetch archive log. So it is a parameter which is configured in the primary site and the standby site parameter and SP parameter files. So FAL means fetch archive log. So in the case, sorry, in the case if you are having the gap of data, so in that case FAL means fetch archive log will be used. This parameter is put. Later on we'll see this parameter FAL client and FAL server and what is their exact use. So in that case the gap can be resolved with the help of FAL, which is its long form is fetch archive log. Okay, so one thing is that in the asynchronous transfer there is a no acknowledgement coming from DR site that DR site it has received data. Okay, so there is a no acknowledgement for asynchronous transfer. So let me talk about synchronous transfer. So synchronous, its short form is sync. synchronous transfer, its short form is sync. Now let us discuss about synchronous transfer. And there are other two protection modes present in DataGuard. One is maximum protection and second one is maximum ability. So synchronous transfer of data is possible if your DR site or DataGuard is set for synchronous transfer of data. So let us discuss what is meant by synchronous transfer. Okay. For example, you have set your DR site for synchronous transfer. The change of data, first it will be obtained inside redo log buffer, and LGWR process is gonna notice that the changed data or redo data or the DML DDL statements, they are gonna create changed data. This data, it has come to redo log buffer. Now LGWR process will give signal to LNS process. LNS process, I have not shown LNS process in this diagram. LNS process will transfer data from primary site to DR site, and at DR site RFS process will accept that data, and as soon RFS will receive the data, RFS process will give one acknowledgement back to LNS process, and LNS process will further give acknowledgement signal to LGWR process that data is being received at DR site. Okay, so sorry. So acknowledgement is obtained in the synchronous transfer. So up to the time acknowledgement is not received to primary site, the data will not be sent from redo log buffer to online redo log groups. Those are present at the primary site. Okay. So this is a kind of a difference between synchronous transfer and asynchronous transfer. Okay. Now we'll see use of ARCN process. Okay, so ARCN process, it is gonna come in picture when there will be a kind of gap. For example, network connectivity between production site and DR site is lost, and the data, obviously huge amount of transactions, they are continuously going on the production database, and it is gonna create a huge number of changed data, and that changed data is collected in the form of archives on the production site. Okay, so there is one process which is called as ARCN process, who is gonna create archives for the production database. So all the data, changed data, first it is gonna it will be collected inside the redo log buffer, and there are few conditions in which data from redo log buffer is transferred to online redo log groups, and there are few conditions in which the data which is present in online redo log groups will be archived. Okay, so at that time the gap resolution will be done using archive log files. Those are created on the production database, and in case if connectivity between production and DR site is lost, so at that time ARCN process will give continuous ping, or it is gonna continuously check whether RFS process of DR site it has come alive or not. So as soon ARCN will notice that RFS process it has detected at DR site and connection between primary and standby site is re-established, at that time data which is present in the form of archives will be transferred to RFS process by ARCN process. And as you see there, there is a one thing which is called as FAL, which is called as fetch archive log. So that fetch archive log will be done to DR site, and those archives will be transferred to DR site, and RFS process will take all those archives to standby redo logs, and from standby redo logs MRP process, if it is a normal standby database, then MRP process will apply those archives to standby database, and if it is a logical data guard, in that case the recovery process is a LSP process, which is called as, its long form is logical standby process. This process is going to apply data to standby database. I think this was about the diagram or the transfer of data from primary site to DR site. So guys, here you must focus on two things. One is synchronous transfer of data, and second one is asynchronous transfer of data. So by default DataGuard works on the principle of asynchronous transfer and the protection mode. There are three protection modes. This is the most important point in the DataGuard, whether it is 10G, 11G or Oracle 12C. The protection mode default is maximum performance, and asynchronous transfer is possible if it is a asynchronous transfer. And other protection modes are maximum protection and maximum ability. So in that case, synchronous transfer of data means there will be acknowledgement coming back from DR site if you are having synchronous transfer. Later on we'll see what is mean by maximum protection mode and what is mean by maximum ability mode. There are various services required at the primary site. So LGWR process collects redo information and updates the online redo log. It can create local archive redo logs and transmit online redo logs to standby database. So LGWR, it gives a signal to LNS process, and further the data given by LGWR process is transferred by LNS process to standby database. Okay, there is one more process which is called as archival process. Archival process, it just copies data which is present inside the online redo log groups, and archives will be created. Okay, and in case if there is a gap, so that gap resolution can be done using ARCN process to the remote standby databases. Then there is a next one is a FAL server, as I have talked about that. Fetch means fetch archive log server. Service request for archive logs from clients running on multiple standby databases. Multiple FAL servers can be run on primary database, one for each FAL request. Okay, so there you can have a number of standby databases, and these are the called as clients, and they are going to ask for the data from main site, which is the primary site. Okay, now there are services, those are running on the standby databases. For example, first one is a FAL client, fetch archive log. So its job is to pull archive data which is present on primary site if in case there is a gap. So gap resolution, this job is of a FAL client. Okay, then as I have said earlier, the RFS process, MRP process. So RFS process, it is a remote file server process which is present at the standby site, and RFS process, its job is to receive data from primary site, and it is going to put data inside standby redo log groups, those are present at the standby site, and later on MRP process, it is going to apply data to standby database. So these are the two most important background processes which are running at the standby site, RFS and MRP. So you can see here how the redo transmission is done. So redo from primary site, sorry, redo data. So this is the DR site. You can see there RFS process, whose long form is remote file server process. So RFS process is going to accept data from primary site, which is sent by LNS process, which is a log network service process. LGWR process will give data to LNS process. LNS process will send data to RFS process, which is present at the standby site. RFS process, its long form is remote file server process, will put the data which has come from primary site on the standby redo log groups. So I have said earlier, these are the special redo log groups. Those must be created at standby site, which are different from the normal online redo log groups. Okay, and the data from standby redo log groups will be taken by MRP process if it is a normal standby database, and that data will be applied to standby database. And if you are having logical DataGuard configured, at that time LSP process or logical standby process will come into picture, and that LSP process will apply data from standby redo log groups to standby database. Okay, so how to manage real-time apply of data. Okay, so if from Oracle 9 onwards, this real-time apply of data, it has started now. Even in the Oracle 10G, in Oracle 11G, and in Oracle 12C, this real-time apply of data is possible. Okay, so how it is managed? For example, I'll give you a wonderful example. For example, I'm going to create one table space at primary site, and automatically that table space will be created at standby site. So this is called as real-time apply of data from primary site to standby site. So manually you are going to fire this command: alter database, recover, manage standby database, disconnect from session, or you can fire this command which is present on the screen, as alter database, recover, manage standby database using current log file. So there are number of commands. For example, there is one more command, alter database, recover, manage standby database. Okay, so even you can fire this much this command. And to check real-time apply of data, you are having a number of data dictionary views. For example, v archive test status, and there is one column which is called as recovery mode, which is going to show you that real-time apply of data it has started. Okay, so there are other data dictionary views. I'll show you all these data dictionary views in the end on the last slide. Okay, so guys, this command, as you can see on the screen, alter system set excuse me. So this command is the most important command to configure a DataGuard. Okay, so either you can set this parameter, which is log archive dest2 in the parameter file, and then you can create SP file, or at runtime you can fire this command, which is alter system set log archive underscore dest underscore 2. So here service, which is stating for the TM standby. So this is stating that data which is present on primary site will be transferred to DR site using this connection string, which is TM standby. Okay, and the transfer of data is done using LGWR process. As I have said earlier, that LGWR process, it works along with one process which is called as LNS process. And even if you will not specify LGWR in this command, it is gonna, by default, it is gonna take LGWR command. Okay, so we are stating that we are gonna configure synchronous mode of transmission. That is, means we can configure a database for maximum ability or maximum protection if you are having synchronous transfer of data. And offer means we are gonna get acknowledgement from standby database. Okay, now valid for online log file and primary role, it means we are having this primary databases online log files, and we are transferring data even if from online log files in case required, and primary database is working for primary role. And DB unique name is which is the standby database name, which is TM standby. Now let me tell you, on the production database you'll be having DB name as for example TM primary, and on standby database also you'll be having same DB name which will be TM primary, but the DB unique name on primary database and standby database will be totally different. Okay, so DB unique name on primary will be TM primary, and on the standby DB unique name will be TM standby. So primary and standby site, the instance name or DB unique name will be different. Okay, now there is a one more important parameter which is called as log archive config, and it is DG config, which tell you that which is the primary site. For example, TM TST is the primary site and TM standby is the standby site. So it will tell you that your primary database is TM TST and your standby database is TM STBY. Okay, now how to set standby database for maximum ability. So maximum ability, you are going to fire this command on the primary site, alter database set standby database to maximum ability. And how to check that? You are having this data dictionary view v $database. So in this data dictionary view you can check these two most important columns, that protection mode and protection level. So it is going to show you that your standby database is set for maximum ability. So let me tell you what is the importance of maximum ability. For example, you are having two sites, one is primary and one is standby site, and your standby database is set for maximum ability. And in case any connectivity between primary and standby site is lost, okay, so at that time your production database will be thrown to maximum performance mode. Means production database, it is going to work as if It is independent database. It will not be stopped. It is going to work continuously, and as soon the network is re-established, automatically the connectivity between primary and standby site will be automatically done. Automatically the resync of data is done. So that is the benefit of maximum ability. But in case of maximum performance mode, so maximum ability will be thrown to maximum performance in case the connectivity between production and DR site is lost. So this is the same diagram. You can see here the LGWR process, and the data is put inside online readlog groups. There is one more process between LGWR and online readlog groups, and that process is LNS process. And then later on, data from online readlog groups, the readlog buffer is transferred to DR site to RFS process. RFS process will put to standby readlog groups, and later on MRP process will apply that data to standby database. So in the last slide, I'll tell you, if I want to set database to maximum protection mode, you need to fire this command, alter database, set standby database to maximum protection. But there is a rule of Oracle that you must have 2 standby databases if you want to set database for maximum protection. So in that case, even if the connectivity between one of 2 standby databases which are present from primary site is lost, so database, it is going to work properly. But in case if connectivity between the 2 standby databases, it is lost with the production, at that time production database is going to stop working and it will be completely shut down. So that is the drawback of maximum protection mode. So generally the production databases, they are always in maximum ability mode. So I think I have explained this diagram, and you guys will be clear with the transmission of data from primary to standby site. So there are 2 concepts, those are present in the disaster recovery terminology, that is RTO, recovery time objective, and recovery point objective. So database, standby database is it is just contain the exact data as that of primary site, and real-time apply of data is possible. Even the real-time report, means reports can be generated from DR site. And then you can even do the switchover or failover in the times. For example, I'll tell you what is called as a failover. For example, you are having your database, it has been put inside maximum performance mode, and the transmission of data is asynchronous, and in that case your connectivity with the standby database is lost and your production site is completely down. Okay. So at that time you can use a standby database as a production database. You will fire this command, alter database, recover manage standby database, cancel, and alter database, recover manage standby database, finish force. Guys, remember this command, alter database, recover manage standby database, cancel. So and then you will fire this command, alter database, recover manage standby database, finish force. After firing finish force command, your standby database connectivity with the primary database will be lost, and you can make that standby database as a production database. So this is called as failover, means you are forcefully making standby database as the production database. Okay. And switchover means manually you are switching between production site and DR site, means manually you are changing primary site to standby site, and you are changing standby site to primary site. So this is a planned activity, so that is called as a switchover. So let me tell you 2 important things. One is RTO, which is recovery time objective, and RPO, which is recovery point objective. Okay, so these are the 2 most important things in the disaster recovery environment. So RTO means recovery time objective. How much times of a loss, or you can say a loss means a connectivity loss you can manage with. For example, if your production database is down for 30 minutes and that is okay with your management, so that is called as recovery time objective, means DBA, he is having window of 30 minutes. For 30 minutes you can put your production database down, if it is having 24/7/365 support. So in that period your production database must start working. So that is RPO. And the next term is RPO, which is called as recovery point objective, means up to what point of data loss you can sustain with. So that thing is called as RPO, recovery point objective. Okay, so these are the two most important things from a business continuity planning point of view, and the DataGuard, it really facilitates the business continuity planning. So guys, there are a number of data dictionary views. Those can be used. For example, as we have seen use of $, database, in which you can check the protection levels, protection mode, then the synchronization status. The column is FS failover status, and you can check the database role, whether it is configured for logical standby or whether it is configured for physical standby. Then there are other data dictionary views like $, DataGuard underscore stats, then $, DataGuard underscore status, then $, log, then $, standby underscore log, $, manage standby. You can check whether a recovery is in progress or not. So there are a number of data dictionary views. Those can be used. Thank you. Now let's start with the question answer session. Yes, guys, you can ask me questions. Aman, you are talking about Golden Gate, and Golden Gate technology here you don't need to configure listener vagera. And Golden Gate, it is possible from Oracle 11G release 3. Oracle 11G release 2, it also supports Golden Gate, but you need to apply patches, and Oracle, it has facilitated Golden Gates from Oracle release 3 onwards. Okay. So in the Golden Gate, so you can use Golden Gate or you can use a DataGuard, but the difference is that you don't need to configure listener vagera in the Golden Gate. And logical standby database, Aman, you need to configure one more parameter, that is log archive dest 3. And you need to run one special dictionary which is called as a log miner dictionary on the production database to configure logical standby database. Aman, I have answered your question. Aman, I'll tell you one important thing. I have worked in the banking environment, and I'm working since last 2 years. So we are having a standby database far away, even more than 100 kilometers site. It depends upon the kind of connectivity or the connectivity you are taken from the customer. For example, or the connectivity you are taken from the service providers. For example, BSNL is giving you service, so there is a costing depending upon the distance. 1 Mbps pipe, you are having connectivity between Pune to, for example, Mumbai. The costing will be around 10 lakhs rupees per year. So that is huge. Only big companies, big multinationals, they can afford that. Aman, DataGuard, it is gonna work properly even if you are having long distances, and that distances they can be managed with the connectivity, proper connectivity. And I don't think so there is any kind of distance kind of thing. Mohit, your question is that can I take backups on the DR site? Yes, you can take RMAN backups on the DR site, so it is possible. Pushpak, I'll recommend a maximum ability mode. That is the best mode, and you need to transfer data in synchronous mode. And there, even if you are having loss of connectivity between production and the DR site, your database will be thrown to maximum performance mode. And as soon the connection is re-established, again the connectivity between the primary and standby site will be re-established. Okay, so I'll suggest maximum ability. Even in the maximum ability, after data is sent to DR site, the primary site user is gonna get commit succeeded message on his screen. So there is a concept of acknowledgement in the synchronous transfer in the maximum ability mode. So I'll recommend maximum ability mode to be configured on the DataGuard. Pushpak, I think I have answered your query. Yes, Mr. Reddy, you are having question. N+1 groups in the standby databases. Yes, the standby deadlock groups, it's a rule of the Oracle that you must configure N+1 groups for the standby database, and there is one special command to create a standby deadlock groups. Alter database, add standby deadlock groups group name. See, FAL, Mr. Reddy, I'm going to talk about FAL now. FAL, it's a parameter which is present in the parameter file, which is called as fetch archive log. Okay, so that fetch archive log and signaling of ARCH process is internally managed, and ARCH process continuously gives signal to RFS process, which is present at DR site, and as soon the RFS it has come alive, the data will be transferred using ARCH process. So this whole phenomena is managed using FAL client. Aman, your question is that should we use LGWR sync? Aman, if you will not use LGWR sync, then also by default it is considered to be LGWR sync. And if you will not put in the log archive desk to LGWR and sync, at that time the transfer is considered as LGWR async. And LNS process, I have not seen the transfer. In that transfer use of LNS is done, but the LGWR process, it gives signal to LNS process. So LNS process will come into picture after that. Aman, I think I have answered your query. Yes, Avni, you are right. In failover, your standby database will become the primary database, and your connectivity with the primary database will be lost, and all your clients, all your sessions will be connected to standby database and will become the primary database. Aman, I have not seen on the production databases the use of logical standby. It is largely done. One of my client in my old companies, we had used a logical standby. The company was Capita, and they had configured a logical standby database, and one site they had configured a primary database, but I have never seen a kind of failure even for the normal primary normal standby database. So I have seen on the number of production databases a normal physical standby is configured. I have not seen logical standby databases. Logical standby databases, they are configured. Deshmukh, Mr. Deshmukh, the default transfer mode on the OLTP, online transaction processing system, you should put as synchronous transfer, because that provides highest level of security of data. Aman, probably on next Sunday or probably in the next week we'll have a presentation on Golden Gate. Aman, see, in the logical standby database, the data is not copied block by block basis, and there a kind of data transmission is done using the SQL statements only. So redo transmission is quite different for logical standby. Mr. Siva, the real-time apply is different from Golden Gate. In Golden Gate, you don't need to configure listener. You just need to configure the Oracle database 11G release 3, not even Oracle release 2. If you are installing release 2 for Golden Gate, it is gonna give you a lot of troubles. You need to apply patch vagera vagera. But if you are having Oracle release 3 installed on primary site, and the other site also you need to install Oracle release 3 database, then you need to apply Golden Gate software. You just need to unzip that file and you just need to create one directory under Oracle Home with Golden Gate name. And here the transmission of data is done in the real-time way only in the Golden Gate, and there you don't need to configure the listener utility. You don't need to use tnsnames.ora. The transmission is done with the help of normal LAN connectivity only. So there is no concept of listener in Golden Gate. Siva, I think I have answered your question. Aman, I have worked on a standard edition of Oracle. So in the standard edition, I have worked on Oracle standard edition 10G. I have worked on Oracle standard edition 11G. Okay, so here you don't have full-fledged DataGuard. So here you just need to use shell scripts to pull data from primary sites. So one shell script you will configure in the cron tab in the interval of 30 minutes. So one shell script is going to pull data continuously after each 30 minutes, and you are going to apply data to standby database in the night only. So there will be one more shell script to apply data to standby database. As you know, standard edition Oracle cost is quite less. If you are having 10G edition, cost is around 40 lakhs, and if you are having enterprise edition, cost is around 80 lakhs. So there is a lot of difference, and here you must use strong shell scripts. And if you are having enterprise edition, you don't need shell script. But Aman, my bank is perfectly working since last number of years on the standard edition. You just need to think about the shell scripts only. If they are properly managed, you don't have any kind of problem with the Oracle standard edition as well. And you will be knowing that the companies, they think from cost point of view, as the cost of enterprise edition is huge than the cost of standard edition. So obviously business minded people, they will think for the standard edition. Jyoti, recovery point objective, it is a big concept in business continuity planning. Okay, so up to what point you can take your database back to certain point. For example, your database, it was working fine up to 5:30 p.m. in the evening, and you lost your database at 5:30. Okay, recovery point means up to what point of data you can recover. Means you can recover data up to 5:45, 5:31, 35. So that those minutes they are considered as a points, various points. So up to what point you can recover data when your server will be crashed. So that is called as recovery point objective. Or in one line, I would like to tell you, it is how much data loss you can sustain with. So in one line, I'll tell you RPO means how much data loss you can sustain with. Aman, that was about the production server. Computer hang means I was talking about the main production site. Okay, so in that case, if your main server is gonna hang and if it is not working, you can work from your DR site. So I was talking about that. Don't consider computer with the production server. That was just kind of example, Aman. Yes, Mr. Surinder Reddy, standby redo logs, they are required if you want to put database for maximum ability and maximum protection. Mr. Faridin Sheikh, to configure database for logical standby, you need to create one more destination which is called as log archive dest3. And before that, your normal physical standby database, it must be successful. Then only you can configure logical standby. So first step is that your connectivity between production site and standby site, that must be successful with the normal standby database. Then you can convert that normal standby database to logical standby database. And for that, you just need to configure one thing. You just need to create one more destination on the primary site, which is log archive dest3. Okay, and you need to run one dictionary which is called as log miner dictionary on the production site for facilitating the SQL transmission of data. Mr. Faridin, I think I have answered your query. Yes, Mr. Aman, you are right. The transfer of data, it is done by using LNS process, but LGWR process, it detects that data, it has come to read log buffer, then it gives signal to LNS process, and then LNS process does the transfer of data. Yes, you are right. I had said that only the transfer of data, it is done with the help of LNS process. And I had already told also LGWR process gives signal to LNS process, and then later on it is transferred. Mr. Faridin, high protection will be managed with the help of maximum protection or maximum ability. Either of them you can use, but there is a limitation for maximum protection mode if you are having, and it is a rule that you must have minimum 2 standby databases if you are going to put your database to maximum protection mode. And if both these standby databases are down, your production database will get hanged and it will be shut down. So that is the limitation of maximum protection. Yes, Mr. Aman, thank you. Mr. Siva, you can do switch over many times. It depends upon the kind of policy your management is having. Okay, so means we had on the production database, we used to do switch over on a monthly basis. We used to change our production site to standby site. Then we used to run our bank branches from standby site. We used to make standby site to primary site, and we used to run standby means we used to run branches from DR site. We used to make that DR site primary. So switchover activity, it is a manageable activity, but failure, it cannot be managed. If you will do failure, the connectivity between production site and the standby site will be lost. Again, you need to rebuild the standby database, if in case you will do failover. So switchover is manageable, so that is a planned activity. Switchover is a planned activity. Manually you will change DR to primary and primary to DR, but in case if failure is done, connectivity between primary and standby will be lost and you need to rebuild this standby database. I think Mr. Siva, I have answered your query. Okay, Mr. Venkatesh, I'm gonna send you documents. Send me your email IDs. I'll send you DataGuard documents. Even the documents I'm using for Oracle 12c DataGuard, Oracle 11g DataGuard, and even for Oracle 10g DataGuard. Send me your email ID. Okay, Mr. Faridin, I'm gonna send you these docs. Aman, it is kapil@focusinfotech.in. Aman, I'll repeat it once again. It is kapil@focusinfotech.in. Mr. Surinder, standby databases, they are always in read-only mode and they are used to generate reports. Production database is always in read-write mode. And when you will do failover, means you are gonna make standby database as the production database. At that time you will open standby database to read write mode and standby will become primary, and at that time you can have DML statements and DDL statements fired on that standby database. Mr. Surender, I think I have answered your query. Jyoti, yes, we are gonna put a recording on YouTube. You can listen to that recording.